Hey there everybody, it's Alex here from VG247.com, and this is Marvel Ultimate Alliance on the Nintendo Switch, the third entry in the series, and we're just sort of mopping up what we saw at E3 and all that sort of stuff. And this was one of those games that we actually got to play and take some hands-on time with and take some footage of. Now, it's Marvel Ultimate Alliance, so if you've played this series before, you know what it's all about. If you don't, the long story short is it's a isometric sort of perspective, top-down-ish action RPG starring loads of Marvel characters. And it's interesting, obviously, because we had two different Marvel games at E3. We had the Square Enix one, which is clearly taking some cues from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, no matter what the developers want to say. And this is really way more dedicated to the comics. And it's a Nintendo first-party game. It's being made by Team Ninja, who are, best known for stuff like Dead or Alive, but they've worked with Nintendo on a few things. Obviously, they worked with Nintendo on Metroid and Metroid Other M, which is a game with a terrible story but great action, which sort of bodes well for this because the Marvel games, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, are sort of light on story, but big on just hectic action. And this is what you're seeing here is 4 real human players. And this is 4 real human players on one screen co-op. And as you can see, you're just smashing stuff to pieces. You're seeing massive damage numbers come out of enemies. And you're probably already seeing in this footage that the camera is a little bit janky. It's struggling to keep up with the action, with the design of the levels. And this isn't something that is entirely new to the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games. It's something that that has always been a bit of a problem, and they clearly haven't quite managed to fix it. But the game hopefully is going to make up for it in other ways, and that there's going to be a lot of heroes playable, and they're going to be adding more after release. Actually, each have unique moves. There's a full storyline, and the one thing where you look at this and you're like, oh, the camera angle is a bit iffy. The one thing that's interesting is a Nintendo rep was saying to me that this is the view for cooperative play, for 4-player cooperative play. However, you can obviously take this now and go online. And when you're online, you will have a more dedicated camera. It's not like you are going to be stuck in a situation like this where somebody's trying to finish off an enemy on one area and then over the way you've got everyone else trying to move on. And so the camera's trying to follow them, but it can't because one person's left behind. And oh my God. I'm amazed that this camera thing is still an issue because the Lego games, of all things, Traveller's Tales Lego's game, those Lego games have a real great camera system for sort of dealing with players splitting up where, the camera splits. I don't know if maybe they've got a patent on that because it is a very unique solution. But I do wish this game had it. But there's a lot of depth here. So you can see you get team bonuses based on who you're picking, so characters that have an affinity with each other in the comics and in the story will sort of have an affinity with each other when you use them together. Every character has a unique experience level, and that builds up their character, and there's sort of very light touch skill trees that unlock more new stuff for you. Every character is very unique as well, so it's like the characters that you can expect would be able to fly can of course fly. Things like Iron Man's got his unibeam that comes out of his chest, but that's not just a move that you pop and then it goes in one direction. You can actually pop that, and while you're holding down the button you can reorient Iron Man to sort of sweep the unibeam around the whole screen, which is great for crowd control and things like that. There are also like big super moves where you can trigger a super move, but if somebody else triggers a super move at the same time, that sort of adds up. As you can see here, there's sort of a stealth section where if you are smart enough to avoid the spotlights, you can actually avoid combat. Let's be honest, the group that I'm playing with, including myself, weren't quite used to the game or indeed smart enough to avoid, and we wanted to fight as well. The one thing this demo does have in common with the Square Enix Eidos Avengers is that it is all pretty much grunts that we're fighting in this demo. But still, it's pretty interesting, I think, just to see the characters' moves in action and see how you can actually get some pretty good like combo stuff. And you can definitely see how someone could spend a whole lot of time with friends on this game. I just really hope the camera issue is non-existent in online play. Obviously, we couldn't test online play because it's not the end of the world, but it is kind of frustrating. And I believe the camera sort of gets much more close to the action when you're just a solo player, and it's going to feel a lot more natural, I think, by modern standards. There's of course optional stuff, so even here in this relatively linear level, there's some optional areas where if you go off to one side or another, you can find a few more enemies to kill, and when you kill them, you'll actually get, more stuff. So you can see here you've got the ISOs, which sort of are used to equip and augment the abilities of your characters. And I think actually, if I remember correctly, because I am recording this raw against this footage, I think, there's a hidden chest there with another rare item. That, again, is in a side area. And you get a look here now at the character progression and team stuff. So you can see the player that's Captain Marvel is going into the menu. You can equip these ISOs, and these ISOs do have a big effect. So you can see, this is up in your attack damage by as much as 9-10%, up in your health by 2-3%. And obviously you can equip a couple of these at any given time. And when you combine this with the different moves that you unlock and all that sort of stuff, it can really help you to create very different builds of characters. So that's, I think, pretty cool, pretty interesting. And here you can see the moves, and over time you're going to unlock more and be able to change stuff in these menus. And so I think, considering I don't know how many characters the game's going to have, but I know that there's quite a number in this menu already, and this is nowhere near the final game. I think there's going to be quite a lot of depth if you just want to experience all the characters and see what they can all do. So yeah, I mean, I don't have an enormous amount more to say. It's pretty much exactly what you would expect. I did wonder when the game was announced if Nintendo was going to try and create perhaps a slightly higher end Marvel experience than the previous Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, because those games were always sort of mid-tier budget. They weren't big budget games, but they've really stayed true to what the series is, for better and for worse. So the fact that the camera's janky and perhaps that it's not the most impressive from a graphical standpoint, even if I think the art is brilliant. It's like this and Square Enix's Avengers are on two sides of the same coin, in that Square Enix's Avengers is really technically impressive, but I feel like the art is just bland, and this is not very technically impressive, but it is absolutely gorgeous in terms of art style. It really takes some of the best looks from the comics and sort of is true to them, and I think it actually takes some balls now as a game developer to not even just as a game developer, as anyone who's working with Marvel characters, be that in comics itself, if you're doing a new run of comics, or in video games, or whatever adaptation you've got. I think it takes some real balls to say, you know what, we're going to ignore the biggest film franchise in history and do things our own way. Because I think it would be very easy to feel the pressure and go, this needs to look like the films so it can sell to people who love the films. But no, this is going the proper way, which is why you've got proper traditional ass Iron Fist and not like TV Danny Rand. Although, he got better later on in the second series, and in when he appeared in Luke Cage, he was actually a kind of cool character. So they sort of rescued that a bit. I'm going off on a tangent, but here's some of those super attacks, and you can see they revel in the big numbers. You can see 89,000 damage here. You're going to see, I think, in a minute, one that crosses 100,000, and that isn't even that high, because this is, it's not late game content, so presumably there's some big potential for just ludicrous damage numbers later on. And you can sort of see all the characters are quite unique. Captain Marvel's quite dashy, Black Panther's more of a brawler, Deadpool is just silly. Here's another one. So you can see Black Panther popped his super move, and then Deadpool joined him. So when that screen pops up, you have the opportunity to pop yours as well, and here you go. And there you go. Now you've got a full team super, which is just a lot of flashing on screen. And yeah, we're 96,000 damage. Not quite the 100,000 I promised, but still. Anyway, yeah, that's Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the third. I do apologise for the rambling, but to tell you the truth, there's that Iron Man Unibeam I was talking about earlier. To tell you the truth, the audio on this capture got corrupted, and you needed some audio. I wasn't going to put up a video with nothing, so I thought I would natter and keep you company. How about that? But yeah, this is out pretty soon for the Nintendo Switch exclusive. If you like this sort of stuff, don't forget to give us a like, give us a subscribe. That stuff really helps us out on the channel and it's just really useful. And that's it. Until next time, everyone. See ya.